Hi, everybody. This is Cordelia. Who am I? I'm a person. I'm a human. I'm incredibly human in the midst of this situation that our world is going through right now with this virus and the depression and all these things that are happening. I am also a business owner and facilitator and a coach and a consultant and a seller. I have my own line of gift items that I sell on Amazon. And I'm now a homeschool parent again, as my son is home from school. I have a teenager. I have a husband. We're all in the house together. I'm blessed that we basically all like each other and love each other, which I know is not the case for everybody out there. So I've been really struggling as a, community leader, I suppose, with what to say. I see a lot of people getting on and they're like, business as usual, just do this, just learn that. And I actually did a show on that a couple weeks ago for those of you who are in our community. I did a show about 5 things you can do while you're stuck at home to grow your business. So if any of you guys want to watch that, let me know. And if you're not in our paid group, I will be happy to share that link with you privately. If you just shoot me an email, cordelia@scannersociety.com, or PM me on Facebook. So there's always things to do. When you have a job and you're home, some people who are working from home still have their same responsibilities, and other people have a little bit of less responsibilities right now, and some people have more. So when you're a business owner, though, there's always things to do, whether it's current things you're working on or developing things for the future. So there's never any shortage of things to keep one busy with. The question is, how do you do that? So one of the things that came out in our, I'm in a mastermind group, which I adore and I love my mastermind group. If any of you guys have questions about how to form a mastermind group, another thing you can ask me about. And all of us almost said exactly the same words. Like, we all kind of were running late, and so people came in, and the first thing everybody said was, I feel like I should be getting all this work done, but I'm really having trouble focusing. And I said it too. I feel like I should just be like, I can handle this. I know how to work from home. I do it all the time. This is my whole life. I created my life to work from home. But it's different, being scared to go to the store, wearing gloves or a mask, or worrying about making masks, or however you're handling this, it's different now. So even if you're sort of used to this kind of life of being at home, it's different. And it feels different, at least to a lot of us it does. It does to me, so I can really only speak for myself here. So I shared this in a lot of places, but I have to admit, I don't know how to check the comments in a lot of places. So I, on the one hand, would love to hear your feedback, but on the other hand, do not actually know how to check for your feedback across all the places I've shared this video. So I see Dwight says hi, Stephanie's here, hi Judy. And I don't know if there's other people watching. So if you are, please comment. I would love to hear from you if you're taking time out of your busy schedule to just share this time with me. And if you're not, that's okay too. If you're watching the replay later, comment, say hello, tell me what's going on if you want to. So tonight, as I said, I've been really kind of struggling with what to say in the face of the world changing. And so I'm going to share with you a spiritual lesson that I learned for myself. And I hope it will bring you some comfort. It is not a religious lesson. I'm not sharing my religion with anyone. Don't worry about that. So, I think it's a universal lesson. So the title of tonight's show is Lessons Learned from a Butterfly. And this kind of hit me when I was listening to the show on the radio a long time ago. I think it's called The Hidden Brain, with a guy's name who I always forget how to say it. He's an Indian man who hosts the show, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. But basically, they were talking about the life cycle of the butterfly. So this gets a little sciencey. But they were talking about, when you have a caterpillar, I guess it applies to moths too, right? When you have a caterpillar, how does it become a butterfly? Like, we all know it goes into its cocoon and then comes out, right? But what they didn't know. So, like, scientists didn't know. Did it have like wings inside the caterpillar that like bust out? That kind of, or they little wings that get bigger? Like, they really didn't know how the transformation happened. And so the way they figured out was kind of gross, but they basically cut open a bunch of chrysalises and figured out what happened. But as my son pointed out to me, science is usually gross, Mom. Get over it. So anyway, what they learned is that butterflies aren't there in the caterpillar form. There's no wings waiting to burst out. The caterpillar completely disintegrates inside of the chrysalis, and it basically becomes like goop, and then reforms itself at a cellular level into a butterfly. And so in spiritual ideology, iconography, there's a lot of references to butterflies as a symbol of transformation. Become the butterfly, right? And what I guess the aha moment that I had is, what does it feel like when you're in the goop? Like when the butterfly completely disintegrates and becomes mush and is nothing, is just goop, primordial slime, right? Is that butterfly feeling like, I'm awesome, I'm transforming? Or is it just completely so consumed with the process of transformation that it's just doing it? And that, I think that life is like that. A lot of times we want to feel like the butterfly. We want to look beautiful, and we feel like that's the sign that we're growing, is when things look good and we're flying and our wings are gorgeous and whatever. But most of the time is spent for the butterfly in the other forms. So in my new 2020 True Fashion, I did a slide about this. So I've been very into the slides this year with my presentations. So here's my very short slideshow for tonight, is a pie chart. Boom, let me see if I can do this. Now this data is taken from a super unscientific study, but I basically Googled the life cycle time lengths of different butterflies and took an average. So some are shorter, some are longer. This is an average, but this gives you an idea of how much of the whole life of the butterfly is spent not as the butterfly. So only about 30% of the butterfly's life is spent looking like a butterfly. Most of the majority of the butterfly's life is spent either as an egg, a caterpillar, or in the chrysalis. And this depends a lot on the kind of butterfly, and there's other factors, right? But when I'm having a dark time, which I will be honest with you, these days have been dark for me. So, and I don't even have it bad. Okay. So I'm not representing myself as like having a horrible time, because I'm not. I still have, like, we have a secure income. We have a secure home. We're food secure. We're a lot of things that a lot of people, I don't live with an abusive spouse that I'm stuck in the house with, or any of the things that a lot of people are dealing with. So even with all that, it's been dark, and there's days when I wake up and I can hardly get anything done. And then there's other days when I feel like I spend half the day cooking because we are not eating out, and cleaning and homeschooling. And then by the time I finally have a minute to focus on my business, I'm just doing the absolute minimum I have to do to get whatever, check my account, get, check my client, check this, check that, do the essentials. And then I'm just emotionally drained by sometimes at 5 p.m. and I still have, to make sure that, and I only have one kid at home. I'm homeschooling right now. My teenager's doing his own thing, and that's it. I know people with 2 and 3 kids that they're dealing with. So, I do have a lot to be grateful for. This show isn't really about that, though. There's a lot of things out there about being grateful, and I am going to talk about that a little bit. But what I really want to talk about is the egg and the chrysalis and kind of the caterpillar. Those are really, to me, the most important lessons of the butterfly. The egg is the time of expectancy, when your whole job is just to exist and grow. You're not producing anything or making anything happen. The caterpillar phase is just pure action and survival. You're all about eating all the time and just moving forward, doing what you need to do to get through the day. And then comes the chrysalis, which is the complete and total breakdown of reality. I mean, from the caterpillar's perspective, they go away and become mush. Now, the scientific study, which I can put a link to in the comments, they tested if the butterfly retained consciousness from the caterpillar to the butterfly. Like, did it remember who it was? And they had a test score, which I can get into at the end if you want. But right now, let's just say this bottom line is yes, it did. It does retain itself through that transformation. And so here's the thing. When you're in the middle of the goop, it doesn't feel like you're transforming, I don't think. Like, to me, when you're in the middle of the goop, it feels like everything's awful. Or maybe it just feels like you can't do anything. You're just, ugh. And so when I really looked within about what did I want to share about COVID-19 and how to grow your business in the face of worldwide transformation, because part of why COVID-19 is so serious is because a lot of the extremely fragile structures of our world have been exposed. Everything that isn't working just got pressured to the point where it's breaking. And not everything. Society's not going away. There's still a lot working, but a lot of systems that we knew needed to be fixed, but we just didn't feel the need to do it. And when I say we, meaning humanity, not just like America even, right? Like just humanity. And so it feels dark. And I think I personally feel like it's probably going to get darker before it gets lighter as a world. So I guess the message tonight is that if you are in the process of growth, and if we are in the process of growth, then it doesn't always feel like the butterfly. Sometimes it feels like the goop. And sometimes it feels like you're just moving, survive. And you're not really thinking about like, oh my God, I'm so awesome. I'm a butterfly. You're just like focused. And sometimes you're just the egg. You're just sitting there hanging out. And then the other piece of this is at the end of the butterfly's life cycle, they still look like a butterfly. They are already laying eggs and getting ready to die. And then the whole cycle starts again. So from a spiritual perspective, if we look at transformation as the cycle of the butterfly, then our own lives are a continual cycle of this. We go through periods where we're in expectancy. We go through periods where we're in focused action, periods of mush and breakdown, and periods of like, oh, how great I am. Look at my numbers, look at my charts, look at my data. Look at my wedding, look at my baby, look at all the things that look like the butterfly. So I don't know. I don't know if that helps you guys or not, but that was like, for me, this is what I think about when I'm feeling really dark and I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Why do I have to make one more freaking meal for my family? Why do I have to figure out a new product to sell? Or whatever the thing is that I'm working on to move forward in my life. I just think like, okay, today I'm the caterpillar. I'm still transforming. I'm still achieving my goals. I'm still in this. For me, it's very important to be in a spiritual journey. I'm going to be present to that. Not a religious. This is not a religious show. I'm not endorsing any particular religion here. I guess in general, I would say any spiritual practice which is focused on becoming a better person, which is most of them, right? So, so anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at with the whole COVID-19, coronavirus, businesses breaking down. That doesn't necessarily help people who are struggling. I don't have the answer. I believe that we all have answers within that we don't even know about. So I'm going to show you my butterfly life cycle slide one more time, and then there's a couple more things I want to go over, and then I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. So once again, I just want to show you that less than a third of the butterfly's life is actually spent looking like a butterfly. And so I just want to remind everybody that every part of our experience is valid. It just doesn't always feel good. Okay, so that's lessons learned from a butterfly, and just reassurance that growth is happening even when it doesn't always seem like it is. Having said that, I did prepare 5 tips or strategies or things to help through difficult times. The first one is that everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. I believe that. When I don't believe it, I talk to somebody else who tells me that. So it's okay that your journey looks different than somebody else's. It's okay that my journey looks different than somebody else's. Comparing is not an important part of this journey that we're on, I believe. Number 3 is to ask for help. It's something that is really hard for us to do. It's hard for me to do. And if you are having a hard time emotionally, financially, ask for help. And you might have to ask more than one person. That's the other hard thing, is like, if just because one person can't help you doesn't mean that you can't be helped. So don't give up on yourself. Ask for help, and be vulnerable. Putting on a brave face is important, but also just being real, I think, is important, because people connect with who you really are and who I really am. And that's the moments when we feel most connected to people, is when they're just being their true selves, whether it's sad or scared or angry or happy or joyful. So be vulnerable. And you know, I'm really, as much as I'm a planner and a schemer and I'm always trying to come up with a new idea for something. I'm also very focused on trying to be open to what comes next for me and for the people that I can help whoever that may be, whether it's just my family or other people. So those are kind of my 5 things that I'm using to steer me through this tough time. I am a huge believer in community, connection. I do it online. I do it in person. I run a community, a paid community, which I think most of you watching are in, but our like logo, our motto is "We is greater than I." And I really do believe that the power of we, there's a synchronicity, meaning that all the parts equal more than the sum of the individual pieces. So whether you reach out to other people in Scanner Society, Scanner Monkey, whether you reach out to people in your community, your neighborhood, in a hobby group, in some other group that you identify with, your family, your friends, please do that and connect. So that's my talk for tonight. Usually I do like a lesson each week on something. For those of you who may have missed some, my recent shows this year, I've talked about how to build a brand. I've given 5 strategies for creating branded packaging. I'm looking because once I do it, I forget. How to get ready for Amazon brand registry. I've done a class on how to start an online business. What are your online business options? How to prepare, what are 5 things you can do during downtime to help you grow your business when you can't be out doing the thing you're used to doing all the time. Those are just a few of the topics I've covered this year alone. We've talked about Shopify, we've talked about pay-per-click, how to be prepared for emergencies in your business, emotional coping skills for entrepreneurs. So those are just some of the topics. Just about every week I do a 20-minute webinar for the community about something. And I'm also happy to have new topics suggested. I think we're working on one that on how to file unemployment if you're self-employed. So that's kind of what I do and who I am, and I hope you'll reach out to me if you want to. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the butterfly lesson, if that resonates for you. And if you have comments on what topics I can talk about in the future, I would be happy to hear them. If you want to follow me on YouTube, you can. If you don't, that's fine. So anyway, I would love to hear how you're coping with this difficult time, how you're growing, or maybe not growing, how you're just struggling. So I'm sending you guys all lots of love. And I want to thank you for tuning in live. And thank you for watching the replay. And I would be happy to hear your feedback. And I will be back with you next week to finally talk about logos and how we can continue to move forward. All right. I hope you guys all have a great night. Bye.